Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Andrew Doyle. A rapper and stand-up comedian has had some of the dates on his tour cancelled after he said that men can't get pregnant. NOHUN, who posts videos on TikTok and Instagram to almost 1 million followers, was accused of transphobia after making the remarks. He'll tell us more in a moment, but first, let's take a look at NOHUN in action.
Let's get into the fact now. Everybody mad that I'm getting in my bag now. You man are still living in a trap house with the windows all smashed out, and you should already know that my manoeuvres are planned out. When I walk in a room, stand up and don't move till I sat down. Wait, what's that sound? Sounds like a lot of money in my bag now. Every day I'm getting packed now, so give myself a pat on the back now. Pose for a pic with a fan now. Think I might book a spontaneous trip to Japan now.
NOHUN, real name Rory Williams, joins me now. Good evening. Of course, NOHUN, you're more comedian than rapper these days, aren't you?
Yeah.
You do both of those things.
Yeah.
And so what was the tour? Was it mostly a comedy tour that you were doing?
Stand-up comedy tour, yeah.
And how many venues have pulled the...
7 pulled out.
7?
Yeah.
So I think for the viewers' benefit, perhaps it would help if we understood what it was that you said and who you said it to and why it caused such offence.
OK, so basically, obviously it comes to my attention, there was a lot of, I call them trans extremists, you know. I've seen videos of men marketing women's sanitary towels and women's bras, and I went into Primark and I made a video trying on maternity wear, and somebody commented on the video and said, I find this offensive, I'm a pregnant man. And then I said, well, men can't get pregnant. And then And
that's the key phrase, men can't get pregnant.
Men can't get pregnant.
Scientific facts.
Yeah.
Can get you in trouble. But of course, you know, we've seen people like Dylan Mulvaney, you know, biological male, advertising women's sportswear.
Well, that was what that was what started it.
And a lot of people don't really understand why that women find that offensive. But of course, it's kind of offensive, isn't it?
Of course, it's an infringement on women's spaces and women's rights.
Now, I should say that, you know, you were accused of transphobia, hate.
Yeah.
The Pink News said that you were harassing people on Instagram because you'd used this phrase more than once. You'd used the phrase, men can't get pregnant.
Yeah.
What do you say when people say that you've been harassing people? How do you respond to that?
Well, I haven't harassed nobody, I just spoke fact. I mean, is it harassment to speak fact?
Well, some people would say that it is, apparently.
Not in my world.
No.
No.
Do you get concerned, because you've also had Attitude magazine, people going after you now. Attitude magazine said that they felt that you probably suffered from internalised hatred.
I really, I hate that. I mean, for me, look, when I think about it, when people come at me and say those kinds of things, I think, well, how come you can have your opinion but I can't have my opinion? That's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me inside. That's just how I see the world. I'm actually very happy in myself. I'm very confident in myself. That's why I feel like I can express my opinions. And I feel like when they say statements like that, that really they're sort of deflecting back onto you.
I mean, that particular statement from Attitude magazine also suggested that you were the equivalent to Vladimir Putin, or it was very extreme,
really
saying that you were inciting violence. So let's just clarify. They accused you of calling trans people mentally ill. Pink News accused you of saying that trans people are a freak show. But you were very specifically talking about the minority of extremist activists, not trans people as a whole.
No, not trans people as a whole at all, no, just the extremists. And I feel like it's the extremists that have the loudest voice, especially in the media and on social media. You know, these are the kind of clips that we're seeing coming from extremist trans people. They're not a real representation of the trans community, but unfortunately they have the loudest voice because a lot of people are so scared to speak out about them. And
a lot of people will say, but wait a minute, this is the LGBTQIA plus community.
XYZ.
XYZ, I probably missed a couple of letters. Also, that's a hate crime.
Yeah.
But that you're part of that community, and that's why they're saying this is internalised hatred. Do you think there's a problem here? Because you did do a video where you said that you were sick of the word community. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I think, for me, when I'm looking at transgender and I'm looking at LGB and T, they're very much different things. You know, one aspect is sexual orientation, the other is a gender dysphoria. I don't see how they can be tied under the same umbrella.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to me because they're not the same thing.
How would you feel if some of the activists said we'd want a conversation with you about it and have a discussion rather than... Because you've had a lot of abuse as a backlash to this.
Yeah.
Has that surprised you, that sort of approach?
Well, not really, no. I mean, because I spoke fact. I said that men can't get pregnant. That was a fact. No one has came back at me with a fact. They've just came with abuse. So you still haven't responded to the statement that I made, which is that men can't get pregnant.
No, so it's as though that's all they...
They've just deflected by abusing me, yeah. And it doesn't bother me because you know, you're entitled to your opinion, I'm entitled to mine, but it's obviously very clear I'm not entitled to mine, but you can still have yours.
And some of the abuse has been quite racist.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's clearly a double standard going on here.
Definitely, yeah.
You know. So what will you do now in terms of the tour? Because you say a few venues have said, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us why you think they would do that? Because surely you're selling tickets for them, you're making money for them. Why would they suddenly say, well, we won't have you on then?
So I knew that some of the extremists had contacted the venues already, so I emailed all the venues and gave them a heads up.
Yeah.
I said to them, I'll give you till 5 o'clock tomorrow, and if I don't hear from you, then I presume that you're still going ahead. If you wish to pull out, email me. And then when I woke up the next morning, 7 of them had just pulled out with no explanation. And then obviously what for me now, there's other artists that are touring at those venues that share the same views as me, that have been just as vocal, but their tours haven't been cancelled, but my tours have. That's what I can't really grasp what that's about.
So why would that be? Is it because the activists have made more of a noise when it comes to you?
I'm guessing so, yeah.
But, I mean, there's a real issue of freedom of speech here, isn't there? You know, I mean, you as an artist, as a creative, should be able to express yourself in whatever way that you want, and yet the people who run the venues are saying no. I mean, do you think this is a problem that's getting worse in society more generally?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's cancel culture, you know, people have an opinion, say something that doesn't align with what the minority, because it's usually the minority of people that have the loudest voice.
Yeah.
You say something that doesn't align and, you know, career cancelled, shows cancelled, you know, don't want to see you again. But I've never really cared about that. I've always been very vocal, in my opinion. Nothing's changed for me, apart from the fact that I've had to now obviously rearrange my tour. That's the only inconvenience, but I still have my platforms and I still have my audience and I'm still free to express myself.
And of course, your audience, what they find so appealing about you is that you're very plain-spoken.
Yeah.
You know, if you watch your videos, you don't hold back
No, I don't.
at all. It's almost like you have no censorship filter. You don't have that.
No filter at all, no.
Which is great. That's the whole appeal. So you're mostly on TikTok and Instagram, is that right?
Yeah.
And what sort of thing, just for the people who don't know, what sort of thing do you do on those?
I do loads of different things. It's very, you know, in the moment, you know, I don't really have a plan. Like, sometimes I see a news article and I think, well, I'm going to make a video about that today. Sometimes I might go in the shop and make a video about the shop, like I was in Primark. Yeah. Sometimes I just make videos about whatever's on my mind. Yeah.
Do you think your behaviour would change off the back of this, like what these activists have done? Have they got to you at all?
No.
Really? Not at all?
Not at all, no.
Because so many people that I have on this show who have been dogpiled online and that kind of thing,
no,
they say...
No, it hasn't fazed me at all. It has not fazed me. All my friends have been phoning me, are you sure you're OK? Are you sure you're OK? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, that, you know, but I can see why they would think that, because you'd look at all that abuse, you'd look at all that backlash, I think that it would. But I very much stand by my statement, men can't get pregnant. And also, for me, look, I think if you're a woman and you want to transition to a man, that's fine. You know, but if you really transition from a woman to a man and you still keep your womb, then you can't really be a man, because men don't have wombs. So
what you're suggesting is that to state scientific facts shouldn't be a cancelable offence.
No.
And I think your approach of not doing what a lot of people do, which is they issue an apology.
I'm not doing the apology. The influencer apology. I'm sorry. No, I'm not apologising. I don't care. It's caused me inconvenience by speaking my mind, but most of my tour is back reinstated now. I'm going to announce it next week. So it's a little inconvenience, but it hasn't really caused me any harm.
And actually, that's a really good example to set, because every time I see someone make that apology, you know, when they get scared because of the dogpiling, it makes it worse. Like, people get more of an appetite to go after you.
Yeah, I'm not sorry.
Well, that's a brilliant message. Before we go, can you just tell people where can they find information about your tour and where can they see you?
So on my Instagram, my TikTok, I'm going to be announcing it properly, officially on sale Friday.
Yeah. And it's NOHUN, that's how they find you?
NOHUN on Instagram, NOHUN, yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Rory Williams, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having me. Thank you.